everyone, this is Vaishali Siddhappa and welcome to my channel, which is Complemental Economics, and today's particular class it's about paradox of thrift. The question comes like, discuss the paradox of thrift. This is the last question I'm going to discuss in this particular chapter. So in the last video of mine we have discussed multiplier, investment multiplier. So in that we have discussed how factors of payment we are going to use it. When investment increases, factors of payment also going to increase. If the factors of payment is going to increase, that means everybody's income is going to increase. So if everybody's income is going to increase, don't you think everybody is going to save more and more money, and their saving ratio is going to increase. So in that case, aggregate saving in the economy also should increase. But this is not the truth. Whenever income increases and people start saving more and more, so the aggregate saving in the economy, it is going to dip, it's going to decrease. That is called paradox of thrift. So we'll see now how when everybody's income increasing and saving is also increasing, but unfortunately aggregate saving is going to decrease. Let's talk about it. That's only called as a paradox of thrift. So let's see how it's going to happen. So now just imagine in the economy, investment got increased. The investment is increasing. Just previous video of mine we have discussed the same thing. The investment is increasing. If investment is increasing, that is distributed, that particular investment is distributed as a factors of payment. Factors of payment to the people. If the factors of payment is going to increase, so that means individual income is going to increase. So we can see here individual income is going to increase. If individual income is increasing, that means their saving is also going to increase. The saving is going to increase, that is nothing but MPS. The individual saving is also going to increase, that's called as MPS, marginal propensity to save. So we've already discussed marginal propensity to consume. That means when income increases, how much consumption in that is going to increase. If we find out the rate, that's called as a MPC. The same way, whenever income increases, saving also increases. How much saving is going to increase in that income, if we measure that, if we find out the rate, that will be called as MPS. So income increases, saving is also going to increase. So in this case, what we have to assume, we usually assume is, oh, income is increasing, saving is also increasing. That means in whole economy the saving ratio is going to increase, but sometime it will decrease, maximum time it will decrease, otherwise it stays unchanged. Why it happens like that? Just go with one of the example now. Just assume that in future we are expecting one of the war, any of the disaster in the economy. So example now, one more topic with what we can take is COVID-19 also. The first wave came, so we had very less saving. So after that, so many people suffered because of the situation. So we are expecting COVID, fourth wave, fifth wave, these kind of. So then everybody want to save more and more money, and they want to spend less on the consumption. That is what will happen now. So now we are expecting some kind of a war, disaster, a pandemic, something like this. So everybody want to increase the saving, which is MPS, marginal propensity to save, and the consumption definitely it is going to decrease. If income is increasing, in that proportionately the saving ratio is increasing, that means consumption is decreasing. So in 10 rupees investment is increasing, in that 0.8 was the consumption. Now the consumption will come down to 0.5. So 0.5 will be MPS and 0.5 will be the MPC. So in this way, when MPC is going to decrease, which is marginal propensity to consume, so that means whenever income increases, proportionately my consumption started decreasing. So I am spending less. So in this case, aggregate demand will be very much less. So in this case, instead of using more money, I am using only 75% of it. So in this, short of output, the output what we have in the economy, that will be less. In that case, aggregate demand is decreasing. Aggregate demand is decreasing, that means we can see the situation excess supply. That means aggregate demand is not equal to aggregate supply. So we have to bring this to equilibrium. So if you want to bring this equilibrium, so what you have to do is you have to reduce the production, because aggregate supply is more, aggregate demand is less. So in this case, you have to increase the aggregate supply. You have to increase the aggregate demand. For that reason, otherwise to bring both of this to equilibrium point, so aggregate demand increasing it quite impossible right now, because people are thinking to save more and more. Investment will be less. Because of that, what we can do is we can reduce the aggregate supply, because it is already excess. To bring this equilibrium, so what we do is we are going to reduce the production. If we are going to reduce the production, that means the investment what we are going to do on the business, that will be less. That means the money what we are spending on the factor payment, that is going to be reduced. In this way, factor payment is going to reduce. Indirectly, individual income is also going to reduce. If individual income is reducing, again the consumption is going to reduce. So in 10 investment, 0.8 was the consumption. Now in the first round, it was reduced to 0.5. Now in 0.5, the consumption will be 0.5. The 0.5 out of 75, the consumption will be 0.5. So this way, the autonomous changes we can see. At the same time, the consumption which is completely dependent on income, that is also going to change, because income decreases, consumption also going to decrease. So this way, what we can see in the economy is continuously, just like a multiplier, the first round and the second round and the third round. If I have 10 rupees, in that I'm saving 5 rupees, and the consumption is only 5. So that means the consumption what I am doing, that's called as an investment again. That's the aggregate demand. If that is called as a aggregate demand, already I have 5 rupees. In that 5 rupees, half of it will be divided. 2.5 I am going to consume. 2.5 I am going to save. In 2.5 I am going to spend 1.25 for the consumption. Again 1.25 I am going to save. Again in this 1.25 I am going to spend 60 to 70 paisa. 70 paisa will be saved. Like this continuously, the first round, the second round, the third round and the fourth round, continuously the saving ratio is going to decrease. So this way, this is called paradox of thrift. So we thought at the beginning, if the saving is increasing in aggregate way in the whole economy, saving is going to increase, but it did not happen. Just because consumption got decreased because of that investment, production, factor payments, individual income, everything will be decreasing. Because of that, in the whole country, the saving ratio will start dip. Otherwise, it will start decreasing. That is called paradox of thrift. So in this way, an increase in the MPS and decline in the MPC, it reduces the slope of aggregate demand. It will be coming downwards. Let's see with the help of diagram now. So this red curve, what you are seeing, that is nothing but the 45 degree it is. That means that is the supply curve. That is the aggregate supply curve. So on the other side, you have the purple color line, the violet color one, which is AD1 is equal to A plus C1Y. This particular line represents the aggregate demand at the beginning. So supply curve and the aggregate curve, they both are going to intersect at this point. They both are going to intersect. That means that is a equilibrium point. In this equilibrium, the income will be Y1 star and the aggregate demand will be AD1 star. and whenever the aggregate demand is going to decrease. Why aggregate demand decreases? Aggregate demand decreases because consumption is going to decrease, saving is going to increase in the income. Even though income is increasing, in that saving ratio is increasing, but consumption will start decreasing. Because of that, investment, everything will start decline. Because of that, aggregate demand is going to decrease. The aggregate demand is going to decrease, so you can see some of the same autonomous point, aggregate demand came down to the blue line. Can you see this blue line? So blue line where aggregate demand coming down, it is decreased, shifted towards the downside. Because of that, we got the new aggregate demand curve. So you can see here AD2 star, we got the new demand curve with the same supply curve. The supply curve and the new demand curve, aggregate demand curve, again it started intersecting here. That's called equilibrium 2. So in this point, the income what we are going to get, that is Y2, and the aggregate demand will be AD2 star. So in this you can see here the way aggregate demand shifted toward downside, the income also decreasing because income shifting towards the left side. The income started shifting towards left side, that means income, individual income started decreasing. If individual income is decreasing, in that saving ratio will be less. This way the economy, the continuously, even though income increases, if they're expecting any of the problems in the economy in the future, they want to save more and more money. If everybody starts saving more and more income, more of their money, so in that case definitely aggregate saving in the economy, it is going to come down, it is going to decrease. That's called paradox of thrift. Thank you so much. I hope you understood the concept. Thank you.